Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. Right, so Vision's buff details have been dropped. Kind of. Apparently since Simula is, the biggest Vision fan in CCP, he was allowed to share these details earlier before anybody else. I will leave a link to his original video where basically you will see the full buff details, which is basically this plus some additional information. But we are here to talk about what I think about Vision buff details and how they will change the champion. Now, let's get first things first. I do think that Vision absolutely will be much better. I think this point number 2, base ability accuracy, is going to be 125%, which should make her a great domino counter, in theory. That alone is a massive deal for the popularity of Vision. If nothing else was changed, that single thing would be quite significant. Now, it is important to note that base ability accuracy being 125% will also interact with other nodes and abilities. For instance, if there is a node that gives her some evade chance, she will evade more frequently than some other champions, or biohazard, or basically anything else. But it also means that as an attacker, she will obviously be able to take domino quite well, and I do suspect that they practiced and tested that matchup to make sure that that does happen well enough. So I do think that that is a very important change in itself and means a lot. Now, as far as the rest of the changes go, do I think this buff is going to be kind of like enough to push her significantly higher? I still have my doubts, because obviously we haven't seen proper gameplay with it. I haven't had a chance to test it. But I'm not 100% sold. And I do want to explain it as to why. Obviously, Vision is going to be a better champion with these changes. They are increasing her damage output. Kind of. They are increasing her damage output if you can play her perfectly. Basically, that's kind of my issue with it. In base, she does have the worst base stats, and the only thing that kind of helps that stuff is the armor up potency is increased from 7.1 to 9%. It's not a major increase, and she sacrificed her armor ups for ramp up, and then she's still left with one of the smallest health pools, one of the worst, block proficiencies, whatnot. And yeah, she does have a playstyle where you can absolutely finish a fight with 100% health because you're phasing and whatnot, but again, all of us make mistakes, and that will still cost a ton. So that is still a worry with Vision for sure. And other than that, when we're talking about a damage output increase, the only direct increase, as in like if you played Vision perfectly today, and if you play her perfectly after the buff, comes from point number 5, which is special 2 burst is improved, and the burst damage goes from 22.8% of her base attack initially, and then it kind of gets amped up to 50%. And there is ultimately, if you do everything perfectly, pretty big difference from like 14k total burst damage on a level 2 to 40k. At the same time, extra 20k damage in her rotation is not a lot. It really isn't. So if you, and that is if you play perfectly, because keep in mind, these bursts require you to tap that special 2 perfectly. So I kind of get where they're going with that buff, but it's also contradictory at the same time, because they are trying to make her easier to play, because in point number 4, they're saying special 2 tap now converts 4 armor ups instead of 3, which means in order to ramp her up to the max, you only need to, hit less. You need to hit about 3 taps out of 5 on level 2. And those level 2 taps are quite important, but they're also quite tricky. And then if you get all of them perfect, you have improved damage. But if you don't, you have badly improved damage. You're going to do UK extra there. And that always was my personal biggest problem with Vision. I just don't think she necessarily has enough reach for a lot of fights. And this does not really change my mind on that. Now again, base ability accuracy increased 125%. I think that's a great change. I also love the last point, where energy vulnerability is now passive, which means she will be much better against a ton of nodes because she will not necessarily now have to trigger masochism, for instance, if she doesn't want to, or stuff like conflictor. Means these passives will not get shrugged off by ebb and flow nodes or mighty charge or whatnot. And yeah, passives is a lot better and will also allow her to do fights like Korg or Kingpin or some other skill shrug off champs better. I love the fact that they changed her debuffs to passives because she also has access to heal block. So she doesn't need to rely on like some sort of despair heal mitigation. I like that a lot. That passive and base ability accuracy increase will allow her to do some fights better that she didn't do before. But again, going back to the point where, yeah, energy vulnerability durations increased by 2 seconds, I don't think that matters too much. Honestly, like typically your standard rotation is going to be level 2 and like 3 level 1s, and if you can squeeze in another special attack, you basically out of charges, and that special attack really doesn't do that much damage to begin with. And most people won't do it because you're probably better off starting to build off a new cycle, perhaps. Whatever. And that stun immune while phasing is nice, kind of like a little safety net because AI is getting crazy. But again, the biggest thing here is now. So one of the main concerns with Vision was, again, the fact that she did not have enough reach for the chunkier defenders. Now, directly, if you do everything perfect, you get about 25, 26k extra damage on a full rotation. But that is only if you do everything perfect. So even if you get that 25, 26k, again, it's not a lot. But additionally, like, admittedly, I haven't used Vision that much. But I think I have hit all 5 special 2 prompts like once. I frequently hit like 3 or 4. That's something that I can do normally, but somewhere at the beginning, or I typically miss one of you. And again, yeah, probably with a lot of dedication and a lot of practice, you will be able to do that perfectly most of the time. But do I think vast majority of the people are going to get it? No. I think out of all the player base, 99% of the people will not put in the practice and time needed to frequently and regularly hit all of these special 2 bursts to get the 25k extra bonus damage, or whatever. Or is it 35? Once again, I need double check how much damage. It's 25 or 35k extra. 27k. So if you do everything perfect, 27k extra bonus damage. And again, I just think 99% of the people will not get that bonus regularly. And if it's not something you can absolutely rely on, or something that requires a ton of practice, it just won't fly. For something like this mechanic to be benefiting players properly, Vision would have to be incredibly popular champion. Which again, I don't think that community is all of a sudden gonna discard Nimrod or Ghost and other top tech champions to rush to Vision and use her daily to learn this. Because I don't think she's gonna be that good. Obviously she's gonna be better, but again, I don't think she's gonna be that good. So ultimately, there's barely any damage increase, which again was the biggest thing. So I hope it becomes a lot more popular because I like her as a character, but I'm absolutely not sold. I don't think that there had to be this specific. I think they could have just improved the special 2 burst, but also improved either energy vulnerabilities or the damage the level 1 bursts do, or something like that, that more people can benefit from. You can kind of understand the idea on paper, but again, this is something that will only benefit those who play with Vision a lot and practice it purposely. And I just don't think we're going to see that. I hope we do. You know, I'm definitely going to give it a chance. I'm definitely going to test it and play it out. Again, this is very, very, very early days, and by no means any of these conclusions are final. You know, need to see that buff live in a game, need to test it, take it in battlegrounds, you know, all that other stuff. That will matter a lot. Will she be much better than she is right now? Yeah, like, because doing domino and other changes, as in like those passives, that definitely does make her at least, you know, better. Noticeably better. Will she be kind of like good enough for an average player or for majority of the top end players start picking her up and using a lot and daily? We'll see. I definitely still have my doubts. But I'd love for them to be cleared. I'd love for WIP to be amazing. Let me know what you guys think. Overall, yeah, again, still not super sold on it. But would love to know your thoughts. And again, I'll leave a video to the original buff announcement from Simula in the video description. See you soon, guys. Bye-bye. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about